Ernest Borgnine names the actors he hates most. Ernest Borgnine was born Ernest Borgnine on January 24, 1917, in Hamden, Connecticut, emerged as one of Hollywood's most enduring, versatile, and beloved actors. The son of Italian immigrants, Borgnine grew up in a working-class family where discipline, hard work, and resilience were central values. His parents separated during his youth, and his mother briefly took him to Italy before they returned to the United States. This transatlantic experience gave young Borgnine a cultural richness and a deep understanding of struggle and perseverance, qualities that would later permeate his performances on screen. Before stepping into the world of acting, Borgnine lived a life that was as colorful as many of the characters he would one day portray. At age 18, he enlisted in the United States Navy, serving with distinction for over a decade, including throughout World War II. His years in uniform shaped him into a man of discipline, loyalty, and camaraderie. Borgnine often spoke proudly of his time in the Navy, crediting it with giving him direction and a sense of purpose. Even after becoming a Hollywood star, he remained deeply connected to the military, often appearing at Navy events, veteran gatherings, and lending his support to causes that honored servicemen and women. After his discharge, Borgnine found himself searching for a new path in life. He had no prior experience in the arts, but at the suggestion of his mother, who believed he had a natural gift for expression, he enrolled in acting classes. What began as a tentative exploration quickly grew into a passion. He honed his craft in theater, particularly with stage work at the Barter Theater in Virginia, before making his way to Broadway and then to Hollywood. His tough, burly build and distinctive gap-toothed grin made him an instantly recognizable presence, often typecast as a villain or roughneck in his early career. However, Borgnine proved he was capable of much more than typecasting. His breakthrough came in 1955 when he starred in the film Marty, a tender, small-budget drama about a lonely Bronx butcher searching for love and self-worth. Borgnine's heartfelt, unglamorous, and deeply human performance resonated with audiences and critics alike, earning him the Academy Award for Best Actor. That moment cemented his place in cinema history, transforming him from a reliable character actor into a leading man whose depth and relatability could move millions. Throughout his long career, Borgnine demonstrated a remarkable ability to adapt to different genres and mediums. He appeared in gritty war films like From Here to Eternity, 1953, westerns such as The Wild Bunch, 1969, and action-packed adventures like The Dirty Dozen, 1967. On television, he became a household name in the 1960s with the comedy series McHale's Navy, where his portrayal of the lovable and mischievous Lieutenant Commander Quentin McHale endeared him to a new generation of fans. Later in life, his distinctive booming voice introduced him to younger audiences when he voiced the character Mermaid Man on the animated series SpongeBob SquarePants. Despite his success, Borgnine remained grounded, approachable, and generous in spirit. Known as a man with a hearty laugh and a twinkle in his eye, he never allowed stardom to distance him from everyday people. He often took time to chat with fans, sign autographs, and share stories from his long and varied career. His colleagues frequently praised him as not only a consummate professional, but also as a warm and encouraging presence on set. Ernest Borgnine's personal life was as colorful and eventful as his legendary career, and one of the most talked-about aspects of his life was his series of marriages. Over the course of his lifetime, Borgnine married 5 times, each union reflecting different stages of his personal and professional journey. His first marriage began in 1949, shortly after he returned from serving in the U.S. Navy, where he had dedicated a decade of his early adulthood to military service during both peacetime and World War II. During his naval years, he met Rhoda Kemmons, a woman who was charmed by his warm personality and who supported his early transition from a disciplined sailor into a man striving for a civilian career. Their marriage lasted for nearly a decade, from 1949 until 1958, and during that time, they welcomed a daughter, Nancy, born on May 28, 1952. Becoming a father was a profound moment for Borgnine, who often said that family was one of the most grounding forces in his life, despite the turbulence that sometimes accompanied his personal relationships. However, as Borgnine's acting career began to take off in the 1950s, the pressures of Hollywood fame and the demands of being away from home took a toll on the marriage. Ultimately, their union ended in divorce, though Borgnine remained dedicated to his role as a father to Nancy. His second marriage brought him into the world of international cinema and glamour. In 1959, he wed the acclaimed Mexican actress Katy Jurado, who had already built a reputation as a strong, fiery performer in both Hollywood and Mexican cinema. Their relationship was intense and passionate, and the pair made a striking couple, admired both for their talents and their charisma. However, the very intensity that first attracted them also created friction. Both were strong-willed individuals with demanding careers, and Borgnine later admitted that they often clashed over personal and professional differences. Their marriage ultimately dissolved in 1963, lasting 4 tumultuous years. Despite the separation, Borgnine later spoke of Jurado with respect, acknowledging her as a remarkable actress and a woman who had made a lasting impression on him. Borgnine's third marriage, however, became one of the most infamous chapters in his personal history. In 1964, he married legendary actress and singer Ethel Merman, whose larger-than-life personality was matched only by Borgnine's own boisterous nature. The union was explosive from the start, as both individuals were headstrong, outspoken, and prone to fiery tempers. Their marriage notoriously lasted only 42 days, making it one of the shortest celebrity marriages in Hollywood history. The split was so bitter and tumultuous that when Merman later wrote her autobiography, she famously left an entire page blank under the chapter discussing her marriage to Borgnine, an unspoken but cutting commentary on the experience. Borgnine's longtime friend and comedic partner Tim Conway later gave a humorous yet poignant explanation for the disaster. "Ernie is volatile. I mean, there's no question about that, and Ethel was a very strong lady. So you put 2 bombs in a room, something is going to explode, and I guess it probably did." The remark perfectly captured the volatile chemistry between 2 show business giants whose tempers simply could not coexist under one roof. After the public spectacle of his brief marriage to Merman, Borgnine entered into his 4th marriage in 1965, this time to Donna Rancourt. Their relationship was longer-lasting, stretching until 1972, and it produced 3 children, deepening Borgnine's role as a father. Their first child, a daughter named Sharon, was born on August 5, 1965. 4 years later, they welcomed a son, Christopher, born on August 9, 1969. Their family grew again with the birth of another daughter, Diana, on December 29, 1970. Borgnine took pride in being a father to a growing family, often speaking warmly about the joy his children brought him even when his marriages faltered. Yet, despite the family bond, the marriage to Rancourt also came to an end in 1972, leaving Borgnine once again single and searching for lasting companionship. It was in his 5th marriage, however, that Borgnine finally found enduring stability and happiness. On February 24, 1973, he married Norwegian-born businesswoman Tove Tresneas, who would become not only his partner in life, but also his steadfast supporter through the later decades of his career. Tove, who later achieved success as a cosmetics entrepreneur with her Tove brand, provided Borgnine with a sense of calm and balance that had often eluded him in earlier relationships. Their marriage endured for nearly 4 decades, a remarkable feat in Hollywood. and it remained strong until Borgnine's death in 2012. Friends and colleagues often remarked that with Tova, Borgnine had finally found the companion who could match his energy while also tempering his volatility with patience and understanding. She was by his side during his twilight years, offering love, stability, and companionship, and their union is often remembered as the true anchor of Borgnine's personal life. Throughout his long and colorful career in Hollywood, Ernest Borgnine developed a reputation not only for his versatility as an actor, but also for his candid, no-nonsense personality. He was the kind of man who would speak his mind without worrying too much about offending others, and this forthrightness extended to the way he talked about some of his colleagues in the entertainment industry. Borgnine, who worked with hundreds of actors over the span of more than 6 decades, sometimes formed deep and lasting friendships with his co-stars, but he was equally unafraid to admit when he could not stand someone. Over the years, in interviews and conversations, he occasionally revealed the names of actors he simply did not get along with, and in some cases openly stated that he hated working with them. One of the most notorious examples was his deep dislike for Frank Sinatra. Borgnine and Sinatra first crossed paths in the 1950s, at a time when Sinatra was transitioning from his role as a crooner into a more serious dramatic actor. While Borgnine respected Sinatra's popularity and vocal talent, he often expressed disdain for what he saw as Sinatra's arrogance and dismissive behavior toward fellow performers. Borgnine recounted more than once how Sinatra carried himself with a kind of smug superiority on set, often talking down to character actors and crew members. For Borgnine, who had come up the hard way through theater and character roles, this kind of attitude was intolerable. He once remarked that Sinatra thought he was better than everyone else, and I couldn't stomach it. This animosity lingered for years, and though they occasionally crossed paths in Hollywood social circles, Borgnine never warmed to Sinatra and considered him one of the most unpleasant men he had ever worked alongside. Another figure Borgnine spoke about with a surprising degree of animosity was John Wayne, one of the most legendary stars in American cinema. Borgnine admired Wayne's on-screen presence and understood his place as an icon of masculinity in film, but off-screen, their personalities clashed. Borgnine felt that Wayne was domineering and often dismissive toward actors he considered beneath him in stature. Though they never had a violent confrontation, Borgnine described working with Wayne as walking on eggshells, since Wayne always had to be the center of attention both on and off the set. Borgnine, who had a much more collaborative and down-to-earth approach to filmmaking, found Wayne's larger-than-life ego grating. While he admitted that Wayne could be charming at times, Borgnine never forgot the instances when Wayne belittled directors or treated supporting actors poorly. It left a bitter taste, and in later years Borgnine admitted that Wayne was not someone he enjoyed being around. Borgnine also made it no secret that he disliked Frank Sinatra's Rat Pack companion, Dean Martin, although his feelings toward Martin were not quite as venomous as those toward Sinatra himself. Borgnine felt Martin coasted too much on his charm and easygoing public persona, and he thought Martin never really gave his all to acting. To Borgnine, who prided himself on hard work and total commitment to each role, Martin seemed lazy and unserious, more interested in the party life than the craft of performance. He once dismissed Martin by saying that he never took anything seriously, not even the work, and that always rubbed me wrong. Later in life, Borgnine admitted that his feuds with some actors were partly the result of personality differences that could have been smoothed over with time. However, his dislike of Sinatra remained steadfast, even as both men grew older. When asked in an interview late in his career if there were any actors he truly hated, Borgnine laughed but did not hesitate. "I'll tell you this much. There are some people in this business who thought they were kings. Frank Sinatra was one of them, and I never liked him. Not then, not now." In addition to naming big stars, Borgnine also expressed irritation with certain television actors he considered arrogant or disrespectful to veteran performers. While he did not always reveal their names publicly, insiders have noted that Borgnine's distaste often extended to younger stars, who, in his view, had not paid their dues, but acted as if they knew everything. He particularly disliked performers who treated crew members poorly, since Borgnine himself always valued the behind-the-scenes workers who made productions possible. Despite these dislikes, Borgnine was equally open about the actors he loved and respected. He had glowing praise for people like Spencer Tracy, Bette Davis, and his McHale's Navy co-star Tim Conway, whom he adored for his kindness and professionalism. This contrast made Borgnine's criticisms even more striking, because when he said he hated someone, it was not out of jealousy or insecurity, but out of genuine distaste for arrogance, unprofessionalism, or cruelty on set. In the end, Ernest Borgnine's candor about the actors he hated most became part of his enduring legend. Unlike many stars who preferred to keep Hollywood feuds under wraps, Borgnine was refreshingly honest. His willingness to name names, especially giants like Frank Sinatra and John Wayne, revealed the uncompromising and straightforward nature of a man who built his entire career on authenticity. He may not have gotten along with everyone, but Borgnine's honesty about his dislikes added another colorful dimension to the life of one of Hollywood's most unforgettable personalities. Borgnine was a heavy smoker until 1962. In a November 2008 interview, a then 91-year-old Borgnine was asked by Fox News morning host Steve Doocy to reveal the secret of his longevity, and he whispered into a live mic, "I masturbate a lot." At the age of 95, Borgnine died of renal failure on July 8, 2012, at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. He had undergone surgery a month prior to his death and had been to the hospital days before it for a medical checkup. He was cremated